Hello everyone. Welcome to the season finale of Round Town. If you don't know it by now, I'm Alex Arjun, your highly esteemed host. So here we are. This is our last episode of season 1. Our last hurrah before we take a little break and come off the air. You know, this has been a mind-blowing experience because we got to cover some really cool and interesting parts of our culture and society through the show. I mean, you look back at some of our previous episodes and you're like, who knew, you know? Let's take a look at our first episode, for example, where we talked about the culture of catcalling and its effects on women. I mean, who knew it bothered women so much? Who knew women would feel disrespect from being called the same manner we would call our pet dog? Mind-blowing, right? But let's not stop there. How about the seawall episode? Who knew climate change was a real thing and rising sea levels could spell impending doom for Georgetown? And I don't mean to add salt to the metaphorical seawall lime, but also, who knew the seawall was just a small part of a much larger defense mechanism? Crazy. And even our more recent episode about CARICOM. Who knew the functions of CARICOM? Who knew the implications of being part of the Caribbean community? And more so, who knew there were such cool people working at CARICOM? And I feel so proud and humbled to hear all the amazing feedback that the show has been getting. It just proves that our people can and will come together to tackle issues which hinder growth. And it is this same unity that we'll continue building, so that despite age, race, gender, sex, we all understand that change starts with us. We're the building blocks of our future, and we're well on our way to Guyana that is the embodiment of excellence. But no cause or purpose is without adversity. It breaks my heart to know that all the hard work being done to bring together our people is impeded by dividing forces, motivated by self-interest. And I'd be lying if I said it didn't make me angry. I'd be remiss if I didn't question the validity of such divisive actions that have no place within our society. But I'd also be lying if I said I didn't welcome the challenge. That's right. I have so much faith in my country. There's so much love among our beautiful people. With our combined racial and cultural diversity, Guyana has become an extraordinary land unlike any other in the world. And I am without a doubt that we will not be set at odds, because no amount of fear-mongering based on historical racial tension will ever be enough to tear us apart and to tear apart the place we call home, because we've come so far as a people to allow it. But one thing we should be focusing on is developing the skills of our youth, who can grow up and thrive in an environment where they're not defined by race or skin color, but instead by the positive ideas and suggestions they're willing to offer to their country. And we need to start providing for them now, because the well-being of our nation begins with the young minds of today. They not only need sufficient standards of education, but also jobs so that they can provide securities for their families and contribute to society. But right now, this is an issue because the quality and quantity of jobs available are not always in accordance with the qualifications of the younger working class, who struggle to find employment after completing their education. In fact, Guyana does not have the most appealing rate of unemployment. And feelings of uncertainty by the younger demographic about their future can severely limit their societal contributions to Guyana regarding the country's development. So this is why we've decided to add a new segment to each season of our show called Career Day, where we can highlight various career opportunities for our young Guyanese who are trying to figure out their career paths. Because the world is not an easy place for someone entering the workforce, much less someone who doesn't even have an opportunity to obtain a consistent job. And this may be why many young Guyanese who go to school abroad are a bit reluctant to return home. It's our duty to inform as much people as we can about the various career opportunities that exist, so that we can get excited about building the place we call home. And this finally brings us to today's episode, where we'll take a visit to the Air Services Limited Flight Training School so that you can have an understanding of what it takes to become a pilot and pursue the profession as a career. Check it out.
So here we are at the Air Services Limited Flight Training School. Next to me I have Captain Antonio Kinch, who's going to give us a little breakdown about the school. Captain Kinch, thanks so much for joining us today. It's really a pleasure to be here.
Thank you for having me, Alex. It's great to be here.
Absolutely. Before we get started, can you tell me where I am right now and why am I wearing this not the most fashionable orange and yellow vest?
Okay, well, you are here at Air Services Limited, and part of our division is the Air Services Limited Flight Training School. You're on the air side, so safety is always a precaution. And also, we want to be seen, okay? You want to be seen on the ramp. Now, yes.
That's okay. All right. Okay, so can you tell me a little bit more about the flight school? So the reason we're here is to talk about the flight school and sort of establish it as a career option for a lot of people looking to seek a career in aviation. As well, and also being a pilot is a really cool job. You know, who doesn't want to take to the sky at some point in their life? So tell us a little bit about the flight school. Can you give us a little breakdown, like maybe the history, a little background?
Oh, sure, Alex. Basically, we've been in operation since 2003. We're one of the only native-speaking English flight schools in South America. Back in 2013, we actually got an award for helping promote and push general aviation here in Guyana. And we offer training courses from private pilot all the way up to multi-engine training. So come here to Air Services Flight Training School and get your courses done.
That's awesome. So why don't you take us around the hangar and maybe we can ask you some more questions about the flight school?
My pleasure, Alex.
All right, let's do it. So I'm a young guy and maybe I'm thinking about becoming a pilot, you know? How do I go about starting the process? What does it take to get me inside one of these babies?
Well, Alex, the typical path for any person wanting to become a professional pilot is that they start off trying to obtain their private pilot's license. So that's where our students start. We train them in the ground and flight training to achieve their private pilot's license. So this baby here is your first toy that you'll start with. And that will allow you to fly privately, take your mom up, dad, your friends up, and enjoy just general flying all around. You can even think about even purchasing your own aircraft with a private pilot's license. However, if you want to go all the way and make it a full career, you have to do some other courses. An instrument rating, which allows you to fly in reduced conditions such as poor conditions of rainy weather, reduced visibility. You apply an instrument rating to that private pilot's license. Think of it as of it being more proficient pilot. Okay. Afterwards, you achieve your commercial license. Think of it as the James Bond of flying. Everything is smooth. You learn a lot more about passengers. You learn a lot more about commercial operations, and you fly the plane to more tight tolerances and to more professionalism. So, in order for you to make a career out of it, you have to go through your private, your instrument, and your commercial. Because until you reach the commercial stage, you cannot be hired by an employer so you can do the flying. Okay, Alex?
That's awesome. Thank you. That was very informative. And so for those who, might be interested in doing that, how can they do that? Can they apply online? Do I come in here into the Air Services Limited Flight Training School? How does the methodical paperwork process begin? If I may.
Sure, that's fine, Alex. Okay, you can go on our Air Services website, aslgy.com, and you can download an application form, or you can call us. You can come in, you can walk in and fill out an application form. And after you fill out an application form, what we do is that we bring you in and we introduce you, get to know you for a bit, and why you want to become a pilot. There are some other prerequisites, as though, like, for example, you have to make sure that you've completed high school and that you've at least obtained adequate knowledge of English and math. Okay? There will also be, you will need to get a police certificate clearance, as well as providing us with your birth certificate and 3 photos and a proof of identification. And once we get all that information, we can start having you registered to start our classes.
That's great, and I'm actually happy to hear that, because flying a plane is a lot of risk. Like driving a car is a lot of responsibility. So you got to make sure you cross all T's and dot all I's.
Absolutely, Alex. Safety is our prime concern. So we train all of our students to be safe and proficient as well.
The Air Services Limited Flight Training School is the leading aviation training company in both South America and the Caribbean, and it is fully certified by the Guyana Civil Aviation Authority. They've been working diligently to produce high-caliber young pilots since 2003. Most of the students graduating from the flight school are presently line pilots with local airlines, and even some in major airlines within the Caribbean. In fact, one graduate of the class of 2006 is currently the chief pilot for the Guyana Defense Force. The ASL Flight Training School is committed to maintaining high standards in flight instruction while it continues to meet its goal in safety and proficiency. The school is staffed with highly qualified flight instructors who have had thousands of hours of instruction time. The school offers a number of courses which include private pilot's license, instrument rating, commercial pilot license, and even a course in dangerous goods. Classroom sessions are very interactive, with constant support and guidance by senior flight instructors who make the learning both fun and exciting for the whole classroom. In addition to classroom sessions that include lots of theoretical information, the students also get to experience firsthand the practical side of flying, where they utilize a computer flight simulator to learn the basics before taking to the skies. If you're interested in becoming a pilot or just want to know more about the flight training school, just go online at www.aslgy.com or call the telephone number 222-1234 for more details.
So here I am with future captain Daryl Britain. Daryl, thanks so much for joining us.
It's okay.
Many of you may not know, but Daryl is part of the GDF, which just goes to show the expansiveness and diversity of the flight school. Basically, what we're going to do is talk to Daryl today about what it's like to be a pilot or be interested in the profession of aviation. Daryl, can you just give us a walkthrough of how you got into this field?
Well, basically, aviation is something that you would see, or flying in a whole, is something that you probably want in your early stages. For me, it started like around 10 to 11 years old, and seeing airplanes fly and wondering how they fly, the whole operation, the whole thing about flying. I mean, we have persons driving cars, we have persons operating boats, and there's so many, but there are a few pilots. And just wanting to be part of that few and to stand out to do something that many persons don't venture to do. And just by seeing an airplane in the air, wondering how, and you might even want to see, like, watching superheroes. Superman is fly, and the closest thing to flying is in an airplane.
Yeah, just that ability to get in the air and just wing it, so to speak, no pun intended. Must be really exciting, and a lot of kids, I'm sure, or young people are very interested in career options, and being a pilot is definitely, for me at least, one of the more cool professions you can find. Well, what would you say?
Indeed. Even though it's one where you have to be humble, yeah, like you say, it's a cool profession. Because the children, you won't find children saying too much, oh, look a car, but every time they hear the sound of an aircraft, they look up and say, oh, that's a plane.
And that's so right. That's so true. Can you give us a little briefing or background maybe on your flight school experience thus far?
Well, wanting to be part of aviation and wanting to fly, the experience here, the instructors, they go to lengths just to ensure you understand. And one thing they do also, and they realize, is that confidence. You having the confidence of knowing that you can achieve this, and because it's something totally different from what you're accustomed to. I think they really worked hard on ensuring students understand the material, know what is to be done, and enjoy flying, the fun in flying. Because when the fun comes and the knowledge and everything, flying becomes a great job.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And last question, sell me on the idea of becoming a pilot. How can me as a pilot benefit society? Why should kids want to become a pilot?
Well, like I said before, the whole thought of you flying, but then it's just the way of travel. I mean, Guyana, we aren't connected so much by roads, at least not yet. So the only thing we have is to transport person from one spot to the other, and then we look at the time it takes to travel. It may take hours by boat or by car, but with an aircraft, just a few minutes.
Especially in cases like medevacs and where people in rural areas that need emergency help. You guys are like the heroes in that regard, where you sort of, are able to go into those inaccessible areas and get people out so they can receive the health care they need a lot of times.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, most cases, pilots are all that all they see, all the people have. In terms of, and like you said, especially medevac, those are serious situations. And for pilots to leave their comfort here to go and bring them out, yeah, they will be seen as heroes to some extent.
So Captain Kinch, you've told us about the flight school, we've seen a classroom, we've talked to some students, and we've seen the operation. Now let's get to the fun part. We want to fly the plane. But clearly, I'm assuming at least, we can't just jump in the plane and fly it. Although it has been done before, but that's not the rules. That would go against all the safety regulations and a generic procedure. How do we get in the plane? What makes us confirmed or qualified on paper to fly an airplane?
Okay, Alex. Well, basically, it all starts with the pilot at first. He must also make sure that he is fit and safe to fly. So all pilots have to have or cross-check their personal minimums, and we use an acronym all over the world called the I Am Safe check to ensure that the pilot is in fact fit to fly. So once he's confident that he can get the job done, then we have to make sure that the airplane can do the job. And unbelievably, flying is a lot of paperwork. So with flying comes a lot of paperwork. We have to ensure that the weather is good. We have to ensure that the airplane's weight and balance is okay. And we have to ensure that our operational flight plan is submitted to air traffic control. We can't just go out and do whatever we want. We have to be abiding by air traffic control's rules and regulations. So here with me in my hand is all the paperwork that we would need to do a typical flight. So I have my weight and balance form to ensure that all of my passengers, fuel, and cargo are within its limitations. I have my flight plan form, which I will submit my route of flight to ATC. And I have my weather form, which allows me to write all of the weather to make sure that I am not breaking any VFR rules, or in the case if I'm doing an IFR flight, that the visibility is okay for me to fly as well, Alex. Okay, so once I am satisfied with all of my paperwork, I have to go into the operations department, because we work hand in hand, and get the necessary signatures to sign off on my flight. So Alex, follow me.
Let's do it.
Alright guys, we've got our signatures, so on to the next step. Every flight, whether small or big, whether Cessna 172 or Boeing 737, must start with a proper pre-flight inspection. It is the pilot's responsibility to make sure that his airplane is airworthy and in good condition for safe flight. Once the pilot is satisfied that his airplane is in a safe and airworthy condition for flight, comes the fun part. We go and fly.
There you have it, folks. That's what it takes to become a pilot. And being a pilot is debatably one of the coolest career options, especially among young people in Guyana. And what we hope to do in Roundtown is bring you more episodes that highlight possible career options for the youth of Guyana. And we hope you enjoyed it. Now, we're running out of time, so it's time for me to fly out of here. No pun intended. We hope you enjoyed this season of Roundtown, and join us back in a couple months next season when we return with all new episodes of Roundtown, only on E1.
So before we get out of here, is there anything we should be aware of?
Okay, sure, Alex. First of all, there's always a safety briefing that must be done to allow the passengers to know what to do in the event of emergency.
Okay.
So during all phases of flight, the seatbelt must be worn at all times.
Seatbelt on at all times.
Okay, I'll show you how to buckle. Big end into the small end, pull to tighten.
Big end into the small end, pull to tighten. Big end into small end, tighten. There we go.
So our seatbelts are set. In case of there's a fire, we have a fire extinguisher.
Why would there be a fire?
It's a machine, Alex.
Oh.
Okay, so you pull the pin, pull, aim, sweep. Pull, aim, squeeze, sweep. Okay.
Pull, aim, squeeze, sweep. Okay.
Alright. In the event, always, once exiting the aircraft, always walk outside and always walk away from the prop.
Okay.
We also have...
The prop is the propeller, obviously.
Yes, sir.
Okay. We don't know flight terms yet.
We also have a first aid kit in the back, in the baggage area. And please know that this is a no smoking flight.
No smoking.
No smoking.
Okay.
And the use of electronic devices, could you just put them in airplane mode for me?
Okay. Put mine in airplane mode right now. So we're actually gonna put our phones on airplane mode. There we go. Alrighty.
And as you know, there will be some busy periods as I will be operating the aircraft.
Okay.
So we can save our questions for cruise flight.
Alright, let's do it.
Alright, so you ready to go, Alex?
I think so.
Let's do this.